welcome to Workout Masters Healthy Living episode 29. This is Ruben.
This is Aram.
And we're going to talk about simple digestion. We want to understand why is it important.
Of course.
All right.
Digestion is very important. Sure it is.
So people, we already talked about food, how important the food is, how important to eat a good food. This is the thing, when you eat a good food, it's not only of what you eat, it's also how you eat it,
where you eat it,
and other things like that.
When you eat it, I mean, you can pretty much put anything in front of it. And I think the most important thing is, you are what you eat for sure, and you are when you eat, how you eat, and where you eat. So you can ask those things, and we'll elaborate a little bit on those things. So the first one.
Obviously, it is very important to eat the food that is a high quality. I always say invest in the best food on earth. If you want to drive a Ferrari, invest in the Ferrari parts. And the Ferrari parts in this case will be a wholesome organic food, biodynamic, grass-fed beef, and things like that.
Good quality fats.
Good quality fats, absolutely. So let's say you're already eating good quality food, but there's maybe some issues going on, like
absolutely. The most
wake up, dude.
It's really early in the morning. I don't think that I'm just slacking behind. The first thing that I see oftentimes with clients, friends, family that makes the digestion not so good is that they don't make the time and they don't set up the space to have their meals, lunch, breakfast, dinner, snacks, whatever. And I see this quite commonly because they sit in front of the TV and they're tuning into their news, which is I've come to conclude that it's the hour of death and destruction. So not a best time to actually be eating while watching, all the tragedy, all the misfortune, all the bankruptcy, all the crime that's going on in our area.
People eat when they drive a car.
Well, yeah, drive through, yes, get out.
I've done it for years.
Get out of the car, get out of the office, get out of the gym, whatever you're working, go get some food, and you're driving and eating at the same time. Not a good idea, because believe it or not, it's going to drive your sympathetic nervous response up, which is the last thing you want to do when you're actually having food. You want to be as parasympathetic as you can. You want to be as relaxed, as comfortable, as chill as you can be to make the best use of the food that you're eating. Also people, doing their bills and taking care of phone calls or, while they're eating, not a good idea. So like I said, take almost your meals and quote unquote make it like almost like a sacred time to honor your body, to take care of your temple. I know it sounds a little, over the top. It is not. It's simple. You just take care of yourself and address the times that are needed for meals as a very special time that you have to take care of yourself.
I think a lot of people take that time for a meal for granted. It's kind of like a wasted time again. Yeah?
Yes.
So like a lot of people take a time that you sleep as semi-wasted time.
Yeah, but you want to
cut down. Too.
Absolutely. I'm sure that people do it, but would you like to have lights flickering in your face when you're sleeping, or would you like somebody like poking you, when you're sleeping?
Absolutely. Yeah. So the thing is, if you cut down on something like that, you can expect some sort of bad things happening to you over a period of time.
Absolutely.
So the important part to understand that the reason why you want to take a time off to eat is because if you don't, and most of the people don't, they do something that is stressful while they're eating.
Yes.
Yeah? And remember, you can refer to our stress episodes where we talk about even adrenal fatigue and the stress versus good versus bad, that if you are stressed, your digestive function is suppressed. Therefore, when you're eating even the best food on earth, your body will have a very hard time digesting what you eat.
Absolutely.
Yeah? So that's the simplest explanation why you need to take a time to digest the food and to eat the food right. Yeah.
So speaking of digestion, like we mentioned before, where does digestion actually begin? So people, it begins in your mouth when you start chewing your food. No, actually digestion begins the minute that you actually smell and see your food. It already predisposes your digestive system to release gastric juices and to prepare the gut lining for taking the food in.
We're animals. Anytime we can smell something, you walk around, remember smell of bakery or something, you'll always imagine things, so you'll see a picture.
Right.
And you're going to start salivating, and the salivating, that generally means your body is getting prepared to eat the food.
Saliva is full of digestive enzymes that help you, break down the food.
So a very important part of it is just take your time, look at the food. If you like the food, maybe enjoy the sight of it for a little bit before you start eating it.
Fantasize.
Fantasize about food. And after that, it's important to start chewing the food. I mean, I cannot tell you how many people just galloping the food inside and just because first of all, most of the people are starving by the time they're eating. Yeah,
Dude, that's what happens to me a lot of times. That I, for one reason or another, meals come in later or whatever than they should, and by the time I get to eat, I'm starving, and I just wolf food down, which I know is good. Thank God that I have a really strong digestive system. And my acid levels are really, really good in my gut, so I can pretty much just sometimes I eat like a dog, and people tell me, he goes, dude, what's wrong with you? I says, I'm sorry, thank you for reminding me, and please do so. I will not be offended, but I tend to eat quite fast. I don't know if because maybe when I was a little kid there was a scarcity of food in the house, and we just had to eat as fast as you could.
The strong one survived. You survived.
But make sure that you chew your food thoroughly, because the process of chewing your food down and breaking it down, it makes it easier for your stomach to be able to have to do its job later. And at the same time, while you're chewing your food, you're mixing it with saliva, and saliva contains the digestive enzymes that are going to help out all those nutrients down. Obviously, your fats will be broken down into fatty acids, the proteins into amino acids, and the carbohydrates into starches and sugars. Well, that's the process of digestion, begins by watching and smelling the food, chewing it really, really good, and then obviously sending it to the stomach in a sort of digested already, form.
Now, important thing to understand, anytime that you don't do it, yeah? So let's say you are in a rush, you are doing something while you're eating, you're going to end up putting some food inside of you that will be poorly digested, and it's important to understand what happens if you don't digest your food properly.
It's already, that's a recipe for a disastrous digestion, let's put it that way. And obviously if the digestion is bad, the assimilation is going to be just as bad, and the elimination could be actually 10 times worse. But the process is that once the food is in the stomach, the stomach is going to be churning it for a couple of hours, if need be. Depends on how heavy or how difficult it is for that food to be broken down. And there's like a little valve that we have in the stomach where, the small intestine begins. And the stomach, that valve will release a little bit of food. Once that food is sensed by the small intestine, if it hasn't been broken down properly, there's a process called retropropulsion. It will send it right back to the stomach, where it will keep on churning, like a washing machine, just turning and turning and turning until it's properly broken down. Obviously, after a while, that food is going to begin to ferment in your stomach. And the gases that get formed by the process of fermentation is going to push the food back up into the esophagus, and you might begin to taste it. That's what we oftentimes call indigestion or acid reflux, as it becomes a little bit more chronic. Is nothing but not having enough acid in your stomach and improper chewing and pre-digestion of that food. So, oftentimes, let me explain one more thing. When people say that they have too much acid in the stomach, it's quite the opposite. They tend to label it as hyperchlorhydria. It's not. Typically, it's hypo, less than chlorhydria acid. And what's happening is that the food is not being broken down, and it keeps on churning and churning. It ferments, and it shoots up the mouth.
Exactly. So, important points. You are what you eat, for sure. You are when you eat.
How you eat.
You are how you eat it. And it's very important to listen to your body and to understand that anytime that you get like an acid reflux, or you get bloated, or you get some sort of digestion issue, it is very important to start paying attention to it, because if you don't, that's the first signs of something is not working. And if you're not paying attention to the first signs, there's the other signs that are on the way,
absolutely. For
sure.
Yeah.
So pay very much attention to what you eat, and chew your food. Take your time when you eat it. Would we recommend anything besides that?
As far as books, you know, just read into just normal, you know, digestion books as far as physiology of the system, and understand each process, how it goes. You don't have to go in detail. And where can you find that those steps that you have to go through by through might come to a screeching halt because you're not taking the proper preparation time, or you're giving yourself ample, you know, time to be able to digest and to process the foods. So sometimes it's actually pretty simple. We just allow ourselves to be told that every time we have bad digestion, we need to take, you know, a purple pill that's going to help us digest, you know, food better. Well, the only thing that it's really doing is just masking the symptoms of really bad lifestyle choices. So,
one of the things I would recommend, you can probably get a digestive enzymes in a store as a supplement, and just try to have them, because some people do have very low count of digestive enzymes.
Absolutely.
Yeah? So digestive enzymes will help you digest the food. Right. You can even go and get something called hydrochloric acid, HCl. That might help you also,
right.
As a supplement. But remember, it is a supplement. You don't want to depend on it or eat the food at the wrong time and not take your time to eat the food.
You would only depend on that for as long as your lifestyle choices are not being optimal. So after that, you don't have to use it.
You can invest in the best food on earth, but if you don't digest that best food on earth, then ain't nothing gonna happen. So pay specific attention to how you feel after you eat the food.
Yeah.
And if there's any signs, make sure you go back and examine and see why is that you're not digesting your food right. Yeah? So the first signs will be indigestion, bloating, and even if you have a poor smelling stool or something happening with the elimination, that's also a sign of a poor digestion.
Right, and we're gonna be making an episode on only.
Yeah, we just kind of wanted to make sure that we cover up like a simple thing as just.
It's gonna be a crappy episode.
A crappy pooping episode.
Right, but once again, make sure that while you're eating your food, your meals, stuff like that, you are as relaxed, as calm. Don't let anything around you bother you. The least possible, you know, be just relaxed and calm, because that's what the process that the body will make the best digestion assimilation process.
That's correct. All right, that's it for today.
Have a good one.
Take care.